Stefan Hartman, IronDPC.com, and I'm going to talk today about unschooling, specifically unschooling me, and how did I go from not going to school to now, you know, running my own medical practice. So a bit of a history about how I got here. You may have seen the previous video that I did with my mom, and we gave her kind of a spin on how she thinks about unschooling. So I'm going to tell you my perspective. So my timeline, living in Texas at the time I was about 7 years old. It was about 1999. I was kicked out of kindergarten. The kindergarten teacher thought I was too dangerous because I was wrestling kids on the playground. I didn't like to sit on my butt and learn nonsense. And uh, so the teacher wanted to put me on Ritalin. She said I needed to go see someone and get on some medicine to calm me down. My mom didn't like that too much. Took me out of school. And we lived in Texas at the time, so it was a great homeschooling community. And so we got involved with homeschoolers, and that was fun. Had a great time. But it kind of left a sour taste in my mom's mouth. So we weren't. She wasn't against moving to Italy for my dad's job. My dad is an aerospace engineer, and he got a job in Italy. So we went to Italy, and we lived in Galarete, Italy, from 2000 to 2004. And we looked around for schools there. My mom tried to get maybe the school system because my mom's like, well, she went to school, she went to private, Catholic schools throughout her childhood, had pretty good experience there. So we looked for schools in Milan, Italy. They're extraordinarily expensive. There was like one, I think it was 40,000 a year. Is extraordinarily expensive, and it was like 50-minute commute. So we just decided to continue homeschooling slash unschooling. Now, Italy, the laws on unschooling are a bit nebulous. Um, it's not illegal, but no one really does it, except like foreigners like we are. So we did it there, and basically, a curriculum was whatever we wanted it to be. That was unschooling. At the time in Italy, obviously, we were from Texas. We needed to learn Italian. So these formative years when the brain is still developing, it's very easy to pick up languages. So I didn't really have to like study Italian. What I did is, my mom put me in judo since I like to fight, and I went to judo class and I learned Italian there, and I learned Italian basically after class trading Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. That's how I learned Italian. Had good friends there. Great experience in Italy. Like my education involved going to the park, going to local museums, and we would travel every weekend to further away castles and museums. So I was learning like ancient medieval torture techniques and castle defense systems. I was looking at amazing art. I mean, analyzing the great artists of Italy, Renaissance artists. So, yeah, we had some, formal like math, but it wasn't really pushed. I didn't really like math very much, and I also didn't like reading. I actually didn't start reading till age 9. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Obviously, I did learn to read eventually, and now I've written a novel series. It's actually, you can check it out on Amazon. I'm going to leave a link in the description. But I've written a book series, a science fiction book series. So 2004, 2008, we left for my dad's job again. We moved to Berlin, Germany at this time, my brother and I. My brother, of course, was unschooled as well. And I forgot to mention, we picked up tennis in Italy, and we carried that over to Berlin, Germany, and we got involved in tennis immediately there. Germany is a bit different with their laws on homeschooling. It's actually illegal, and it's a Hitler remnant law. It was called the Schulpflicht, where you're required to go to school, and it was very bad in Germany. Parents who got caught homeschooling, they were fined, their children were taken away. There's some crazy stories that go on in Germany about the persecution of homeschoolers. It's absolutely crazy that this happens in modern society, but it does, and it happens in Germany pretty often. So it was illegal, but us being who we are, we did it anyway. If laws are totalitarian, we don't really care. So we kind of flew under the radar there. My brother and I, we wouldn't leave the house till about 2 p.m. when it was allowed for children to go outside. Now, sometimes we'd get outside a little bit too quickly. We'd get to the tennis courts at like 2:05, and the ladies on the court would be like, how'd you guys get out of school so fast? And we were like, we were just fast, ran here really fast. And they're like, oh, wow, must have ran really fast. And you're like, uh-huh. And then we actually lied to most of our friends about our school whereabouts. Yeah, we lied because we didn't trust these kids. One day we were playing hockey on the street, and kids in the neighborhood, my brother and I, and they separated us to two ends of the street. And they questioned us because we had always been like nebulous about our school whereabouts. So they questioned me and Matthias, and we both gave different answers as to where we were going to school. And they were like, "Ha, we knew it! You guys don't go to school. You guys are breaking the law, and we're gonna report you, and you're gonna be in trouble." Like, absolute dicks. Like, I don't know why they said this, but they did. And they were kids at that age, and I was like, how can I make them shut up? And so I gave them a story. What do they know? Okay, they know that we are from Texas. And at the current time, Bush had invaded Iraq, and Bush is from Texas. So I was like, Bush, we knew him. We grew up on the same street as him. And if you report us to the German authorities, it'll be your fault that Black Hawk helicopters are going to fly into here, and Germany is going to be occupied again, and it's all going to be your fault. I mean, they were kids, and they believed it, and so they didn't really report us to the authorities. So that was that. And there was another time there's another kind of interesting event where I was hanging out with this girl, and her parents were school teachers, and I told her, yeah, I don't go to school, and so she told her parents, and her parents like wrote a letter to my parents, and we're like, we want to sit down, we want to talk to you about this. My parents ignored the letter, and nothing ever came of it. So yeah, that was Germany for you. Very interesting. And there, what did we learn? German, obviously, we studied German, and we actually formally studied Italian there. And then I took the tests. I took the AP test in Italian, so I got my college credit for Italian, and I took the CLEP test for German, so I got my college credit for German. So I already had like, I don't know, 16 credit courses already, and I was not even 13 at the time. I already did my foreign languages for university. And what else did we learn there? Math. I was reading a lot by then. I don't know. Didn't really. We enjoyed life, really. I enjoyed tennis. Tennis was a huge part of our life. Judo was a huge part, lesser part of our life then. Airsoft. We enjoyed playing airsoft. Airsoft, interesting enough, is also illegal in Germany. All the fun things are illegal in Germany. No freedoms. And now, currently, forget about Germany. It's gone downhill. I don't know what's going to happen. A third Reich is going to come. Now, airsoft is illegal, but we played it anyway. Some of the kids in the neighborhood, we put the shotguns and the pistols in the backpack, and we'd go bike down to the woods. Beautiful wilderness, absolutely amazing. And I played once with some adults too in Germany, and they played with like the bigger guns, and that was highly illegal, and it was very fun. Let's see, Florida. Yeah, we moved to Florida in 2008, and we were really like, I wasn't sad to leave Germany at that time. Was I sad to leave Italy? No, not either. Like every time like we moved, like every 4 years, it was like you had enough of it, right? And you were ready for something different. Italy's great, but it's not America. Berlin was good for certain reasons. Like the public transportation is pretty cool. The woods were amazing in East Germany where we lived. 4 years of Germany, you had enough. You want to go. Came to Florida because we had always come on vacation here, and it was amazing. We were living in the vacation spot that we had always gone to. And Florida is the land of the free, and homeschooling, unschooling. Great community here. We didn't have to live in secret anymore. We got involved with a local homeschooling group, met friends there, and utilized the dual enrollment to get a whole bunch of college credits. So, to age 15, I was enrolled at the community college here with my brother. He was 13 as well. The first class we ever took was college algebra, or intermediate algebra, right? Because we hadn't gone to a school system, we needed to take intermediate algebra. Nothing wrong against that. We were sitting in class with, adults, 40 years old, 50 years old, kids, coming back to school, trying to learn, higher education. And so it was huge, sitting in that class, huge impression on me. Like, wow, like this is real. These are people that, this is money, right? These are people that are serious about this. We're not messing around here. And the goal with these college classes at the community college was straight A's. Nothing less was acceptable. Because obviously, if you want to get into a medical program, straight A's are necessary. And so we took it very slowly. We had obviously never been in a formal education like this, structured education. So we took classes very slowly, one at a time, two at a time, maybe three at a time at most. Really enjoy them and really delve into it. So we weren't just cramming for a test. We actually fully immersed ourselves, like we always do when we learn, to enjoy it rather than just painfully put things in your head and regurgitate them and forget it. No, we learned the algebra. I really enjoyed my communications class, my writing class with my teacher. That's where I learned how to write a lot. And so we also had ability to do high school tennis. We didn't actually have to go to Melbourne High School to utilize those services. We just played for the tennis team. My brother and I, we played line one, line two on the team. We had pretty high skill level in tennis at that time. And great time, great social connections that we still have to this day through tennis in high school, but also throughout Florida. We played on the Florida Junior Circuit, met a lot of people, and that we still have connections to this day. And then local community in Melbourne Beach, we had a great little community there. Surfer kids, we met them skating around in the park. That's how we encountered individuals. And that's how we made friends. So it can be done. You don't need to go to school to have friends. You can meet them in other ways, activities, things. So that's that. And then about 2014, I went to University of Central Florida, and that was the first time I was like fully loaded with courses, and I enjoyed it pretty well. I I did something that I wanted, exercise science. I was actually torn between exercise science or creative writing, and I chose exercise science, thankfully, because you can actually make money off of that. And I graduated in 2015 with a bachelor's in exercise science. And through that whole time at UCF, I made amazing relationships, great friends, had played on the UCF club tennis team. Um, Enjoyed my time there. I played the club tennis team. I probably could have played varsity, but I suffered at that time from tennis elbow terribly. And so I don't know how well I would have done on varsity tennis. And I made a whole video on my tennis elbow learning from then. And so I didn't play varsity tennis, but the club tennis was fine. And even then, my arm was almost falling off. It was so painful. Um, but it also allowed me to focus more on the studies. Now, it didn't really matter too much because I had already pretty much done all my credits necessary for medical education to get into medical school, PA programs, you name it. So I didn't really need to take all those super hard classes like, chemistry in the university level. I could more enjoy myself at that time with extracurricular activities. I still took some. I took organic chemistry, and I took genetics, that sort of thing. Those were pretty hard classes, but everything else I'd previously done at the community college level. And I had done them one by one, so I didn't need to cram it all and stress myself out. I enjoyed those. Anatomy and physiology, I actually enjoyed that. I didn't need to cram because I was taking 5 other classes at the same time. No, I took anatomy and physiology in community college level. I probably just took that and maybe one or two other, social liberal classes, right? Like history or something. Right? You don't want to overload yourself with like a bunch of science courses. Like you're gonna get C's and D's. You're gonna flunk out. Like what are you doing? You need to actually enjoy this stuff and actually learn it so that you can remember it for later when you actually need it in a medical program. So after 2015, I graduated bachelor's exercise science, and throughout that whole time, I forgot I was actually working in the ER as a scribe. So I was making money on the side and kind of paying my way through college, mind you. And then afterwards I graduated, I did full-time scribe, and I also did full-time master trainer at LA Fitness. So that was fun. Cool, working one-on-one with clients, helping them gain muscle, lose weight, just feel better about themselves. It's like, wow, this is so cool, right? The whole time, though, I was applying for PA school. That was my goal. And I applied twice. I got in around the second time to a school in Massachusetts. So 2016, 2018, I was in Massachusetts for PA school, and that's a whole nother story, how that is. how PA school is. And I graduated there and then became a PA, came back to Florida, got jobs at urgent care, and did a couple other things. And here I am running my own business finally, which allows me to practice medicine the way I see it, which is kind of a holistic way, an integrative medicine approach, utilizing my knowledge in exercise science, nutrition, and really my self-study. Like PA school, medical school, they don't teach you this stuff. They don't teach you how to actually make patients better. They teach you how to give pills and make a diagnosis, which I can do. That's you don't. A monkey could do that sort of medicine, right? It's so easy. You just follow the guidelines. What does the CDC say? Okay, I'm going to click this, click this, click this. All right, this pill, this diagnosis. Easy. Nothing to it. The stuff that I'm doing, where I'm really learning the patient, trying to figure out the root cause, looking at them from head to toe, looking at what they're eating in their kitchen cabinet, what they're putting on their skin, their hair, trying to figure out what is causing this disease process, doing advanced blood work, hair analysis, heavy metal analysis, urine toxicology, organic acid testing, like really trying to understand what's going on with people. This they don't teach you in school. I have to learn this all on my own. I have to do additional training for this through the Anti-Aging Medicine Society. So that's what I do now, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot more than conventional medicine. There's a couple questions and answers here. I posted on Instagram, a couple funny ones. So, how do you socialize? Oh man, if I had a $5 for everyone I had heard this and actually invested in Bitcoin when it was like $400 back then, I'd be a millionaire. All right. Yeah, you can socialize, right? It's activities. You don't need to go to school to be forced to socialize. No, you can talk to people of all ages. They don't need to be of exactly your age. You can talk to adults, young kids. School forces you to be in an environment where you are exactly matched with your peers at your age. Sure, that's great, and that's where you're gonna have most of your friends. But the unschooler, he's more adapted to talk to an adult, maybe make even business transactions, right? So when I was unschooled younger, my mom encouraged me to start my own business, do little business transactions and whatever it was. We did like tennis string, we did garbage disposal, we taught tennis. So I was in communication with people of all ages, right? Not just my age, young children, like 4 or 5 years old, I was teaching tennis to. Elderly people, 70 and above. These were all my network of connections, and yeah, they're friends as well. And obviously I had peers as well, my age, that I went surfing with and so forth. So you can socialize being a homeschooler or unschooler. What is unschooling? Well, it's the government's worst nightmare. That's why Hitler forbade it. Because if you have a child in a controlled environment, you can feed them exactly the information that you want them to know. If you have a child at home, you don't know what the parents are teaching them. Perhaps the parents are teaching them, anti-government propaganda, which in this day and age, you want to really understand what the government is saying here and whether that's true or not. When you go to the school, public school especially, it is government propaganda. That's all it is. That's all you learn. You're going to learn the food pyramid, and that you have to eat this many carbohydrates, and you have to eat canola oil and cottonseed oil because it's healthier for you. That's what they tell you, and that you have to believe is true because it's from the FDA or USDA. It's completely false though. It's government propaganda. And I tell my patients this all the time. Like, you can't believe what the government tells you. They don't know. They don't know the latest research. They don't know what's going on. So yeah, the unschooler is the government's worst nightmare. If everyone unschooled, no one would believe what the government is telling them. They'd think for themselves and be like, maybe I don't want to get this jab. It hasn't been studied too long, or maybe I shouldn't follow the food pyramid. I think it's making America sick. There's so much diabetes and obesity. It can't be right. You'd think for yourself like a little bit more. But no, if you go to the school, you're given this propaganda, you believe everything the government tells you. That's a huge reason to unschool. Did it make you autistic? Yes, confirmed. No. So it is a big thing. A lot of homeschoolers, there's a decent, there's a large group of homeschooler moms who homeschool because their child has special needs or is autistic. We know many of them. And that's a huge reason to homeschool because of a special needs child. So yeah, there's that part. So homeschoolers do sometimes get like a bad rap for maybe being a little bit special needs, maybe being autistic, and yeah, there is a large community of autistic homeschooler children. So, but not every homeschooler is autistic, right? Let's see. How can it work with a student with no desire to learn and a learning disability? Right. Very interesting. So about I didn't want to learn to read till age 9. I didn't like it. I didn't like reading. Why did I start reading? Well, I wanted to play a video game called Age of Empires. It's a real-time strategy game. It's really complicated, really complex, and I couldn't figure it out. So, I had a basic, my mom had made me learn to read some, and I just didn't like it. But I wanted to read at that point. So I picked up the manual. It was about this thick, and I read it from front to back, how to play this game. And that was kind of the gateway into learning how to read and enjoying reading. After that, I was reading Tolkien, Harry Potter, all sorts of fantasy books. I couldn't be caught without a book in my hand and reading it. And I just decided to read, right? It didn't need to be forced upon me. Yes, my mom did make me learn some reading, starting at I think it was age 7 or something. I don't remember it being like difficult. I remember, okay, I learned a little bit here and there, but I decided to read one day. That was it, and I read. What kind of knowledge does one need to unschool? Yeah, so you don't need a teacher's degree to unschool your children. Right now, we live in the day of the internet, and everything you want to learn, you can read on the internet. YouTube. I have a whole YouTube channel that can teach you how to not be reliant on the medical establishment. It's all for free here. There's a whole lot of sources on it. YouTube is just one of them. My mom describes one on the previous video called IXL. It's a math software. You can learn Italian or German. So if the parent doesn't have the background, or doesn't know math very well, there's resources on the internet. It can be done. How did you come up with a homeschooling curriculum and what was included in it? All right, so we didn't really homeschool. We did unschooling. So there's no real curriculum. We have like some goals sometimes, like, okay, we got to read, we got to learn math. And we had some passions. Like for one period of time, we were really deep in the Civil War, American Civil War. That's what we wanted to learn. We learned so much about the Civil War, the U.S. Civil War, more than most people will know. We read books on it. We watched the Ken Burns documentary on it. Everything, right? So unschooling is a bit different. You have goals maybe, but not a curriculum. Did she stay home or try to work in homeschool? Okay, yeah. So mom did stay at home and teach us. Dad worked as an aerospace engineer. How do you even start? Well, do you take your kids out of school? That'd be the first step. And how was transitioning into normal school after unschool? Yeah, so I didn't really transition. I just basically went straight to college. And my first college course was intermediate algebra at the community college. And I was in class sitting next to people 2 or 3 times my age. Are there any requirements to worry about when it comes to college apps for them? No worry. No one cares what you did in high school. Sorry. The truth of the matter. No one gives a crap. All that high school work, no one cares. Maybe they cared back in the day. Maybe back in the 40s or 50s, you could get a high school education and get a job. In this day and age, what do the people care about? They care about prior work experience. They do to some degree if it's a certain field. They care about your degree, but it's only for certain fields, like medicine, for example, or engineering. Even engineers don't even need a degree sometimes. And then vocational school, like electrical engineer, plumber, house painter, try putting on a new roof or getting a new fence. I mean, it's extraordinary how much, it's extortion how much they want to like put a new fence in or repair a window. Like, oh my God, you don't need to go into medicine to make money. Like, there's so many ways to make money. Like I don't know, anything, literally anything can make money. And you don't need to go to college for it. I'm not sure if I'll send my kids to college. It keeps getting more expensive and more expensive. The debt is extraordinary. and it gets you indebted to a system. I think a big reason why so many of my colleagues and peers in medicine are not aware of the dangers of this jab and are not able or not willing to prescribe medications that save lives is because they're indebted to the system and they can't escape it. If the system tells them to do a certain thing or not do a certain thing, then they're going to do it because they'll be out of a job and they're $400,000 in debt and they have to pay off this loans, otherwise they'll be on the street. So they're stuck, and I don't blame them. They have to repeat what the authorities are telling them to repeat, otherwise they'll be out of a job. And so they're not looking out for the patient, they're looking out for their own paycheck, which, perhaps it was the end goal with the medical establishment to begin with, is put us so deep in debt that we just have to subscribe to the Rockefeller type of medicine and do what we're told and keep our head down and just manage to barely get by paying off our extraordinary student loans. So that's the state of the medical establishment right now. Hope you guys enjoyed this bit of a lecture on unschooling, at least from my point of view. Maybe I'll be able to get my siblings to come on and talk about their experience as well at some point. We'll see. Bye.